We're here today at the Surfside Kolel Boker, and we are asking a very good question, a question that you probably have the answer to, but I'm going to flip it over right now. Is it a siman kilala or a beracha if it rains on the first night of Sukkot? So you're probably quick to tell me, Masachet Ta'anit, Daf Bet. It's first page, very clear. Well, that's why we came here to learn, because we came here to see other opinions. And let's take a look. So I want to begin with Torah's Avigdor. Torah's Avigdor is Rabbi Avigdor Miller. I learned with Rabbi Miller probably about 50 classes I went to in my life from him. I used to go with this guy, Sam Gindi. On Friday nights, he used to do it in his shul. Rabbi Miller would have it in the corner room. I went with him a bunch of times. I went to a few classes personally to hear him. I heard a lot about Rabbi Miller when I was young, so I went to go see him. It was much simpler than I thought. The shul was very simple, small building, first floor. The rabbi lived upstairs. It was very unbeknown to many, but everyone knew that he was doing a lot. And what I learned from Rabbi Miller is that you could change the world from a small bet midrash. You don't need a big building. You don't need all that stuff. It's not needed. You need to be able to learn and to teach properly, to have good kavanot, to focus on kedusha, and you don't need a big building at all. You can change the world from that, and he did. It's unbelievable how from his students, because Torah's Avigdor is, from my understanding, not the family of Rabbi Miller. That's another organization called Simchas HaChaim. That's his son, I believe, in Muncie. This is done from his students, and we see the Torah's Avigdor is a fantastic publication. Every week I get them. They're great. They're so clear, and that came from his student, not from the family. And I think there's a lesson in that sometimes the students can really spread the Torah all around the world in a way that others cannot. It's unbelievable. So he asks this question. He says the Mishnah says that rainfall during Sukkot is a siman kilala, a bad sign. His question is that only in Eretz Yisrael, or it's also in Chutz la'aretz? Okay, outside of Israel. So he writes here, Yiridat Geshamim b'chag. Usually when it says the word just chag, in any time that you see it, it's talking about Sukkot. If it rains in Sukkot, it's a siman kilala everywhere and anywhere. In two senses. One, he says it spoils the crops. What do you mean spoils the crops? Because on Shavuot, we cut all the crops. And then what they did is they used to put the crops in the field. They didn't have warehouses. And they would let the crops dry in the field from Shavuot until Sukkot. After Sukkot, they would gather all the crops. But until that time, they were outdoors. And if it started raining on Sukkot, it would destroy all the crops that was outside, and they would lose all the money. It wouldn't be anything to be happy about. So he says because of that in Israel is siman kilala. But he says here it also follows itself to America, which is interesting. But it's also kilala for America too, because anything that prevents people from fulfilling the mitzvah of sukkah is a loss. Meaning that not a sukkot, the guy couldn't sit in the sukkah. He didn't say lishib basukah, so there is the answer. And so for us, even in Chutz La'aretz, even though we're not farmers and we don't have any sheets of grain standing on the field to be spoiled by the rain, it's a pity when it rains in Sukkot. That's why the Gemara says when a Jew walks out of his sukkah because of the rain, he has to walk out of his sukkah with regret. Not that he's happy that it rained and he can eat at home. Let's continue. That's the sign of a good Jew. Regret that he can't fulfill the mitzvah. The Gemara says in Avodah Zarah 3a that one day the Goyim, I should say Ummot HaOlam, will also have Sukkot. And he says here, Le'atid lavo, the Ummot HaOlam are going to make Sukkot, and when it gets too hot or it rains, they're going to kick the Sukkah and just walk out and say we're patur from it. That's the difference. When we leave the Sukkah and we can't do, we kiss the walls. When they had the mitzvah, they're going to make a bizayon out of it. That's the difference. And a Jew has to be sad to leave the sukkah, and he says because of that, it's a siman kilala. That's Rabbi Miller, and his son Rabbi David Miller writes, I remember one day when it rained all night the first night of Sukkot. The Rav took it very seriously, Rabbi Miller, and told us that it was a stern reprimand min hashamayim. If so many Yidden were prevented from fulfilling the mitzvah, then we have to understand that Hashem is telling us something. You know, it happens to be in Brooklyn. It was a major mabul.
This year.
Major mabul. My brother told me it was crazy. The amount of rain. I saw videos of floods of 3-4 feet of water. I don't remember ever seeing that before I left Brooklyn. It was crazy. Well, that was Rabbi Miller's opinion. Today I want to bring you another opinion. This comes down in the shoot. Tirosh v'yitzhar siman kuf yud gimel. He says, Katav, shekavanat harambam. The idea of the Rambam, she'en yidat geshamim siman klala, Rambam says it's not a kilala at all. אלא כשלא ידעו גשמים קודם החג. ורק בפתע פתאום קשרו שמיים באביב בליל והתקדש בחג וידעו גשמים, זה סימן קללה. He said, what happened? If the whole week was raining, and it was raining also on the first night of Sukkot, that's not siman ke'ala, because that's the weather. It could, and by the way, we live in Florida. It rains here every single day. Sometimes it rains for 3 minutes like a mabul, and then the rest of the day is sunny. That's our season. He says here something else. It's Rambam, from what I understand here, is that he was talking about a place where the whole week was gorgeous, sunny every day. They all went to shul and it was still beautiful, sunny outside. Suddenly, on their way home, they noticed that it got cloudy, and by the time they got into the Sukkot to say the Kiddush, the rain fell. He goes, that is siman ke'ala. He goes, but if it's raining the whole week or it's rainy season, I don't know if that's siman ke'ala.
In Israel, sometimes the first rain is during Sukkot.
It's during Sukkot.
So the first rain.
Yeah, but it only says first night.
Right.
Remember, it's only the first night.
Because the first night is the
Deoraita to eat. I mean, Sukkot is deoraita the whole week. To eat the bread. The chiyuv of eating the bread is only the first night. אבל אם כבר התחילו גשמים לרדת בפרוס החג, ונמשכו הלאה גם בימי החג, אין כל מאומה בזה. So, Rambam says no, וגשמי ברכה הם, he calls it the complete opposite. He says it's a גשם ברכה. עיין שם, וכך כתב בשו"ת אפרסקסטה תעניה, okay, and he writes there, סימן שין עין ה', עיין שם, וכן כתב בספר בכורי יעקב, סימן תרש למ"ט, סעיף קטן ל"ט, בשם הרב חמדת ימים, וזה לשונו, וקיבלנו שלא אמרו המשל של העבד שמזג כוס לרבו וכולי, אלא כשלא ידעו גשמים קודם ימי החג, ובפתע פתאום נקשו השמיים באביב בליל. It says that was only talking about the situation if it was a random sudden cloud and rain, but if it wasn't, then it's okay. בליל הקדש החג וידעו גשמים, אבל אם כבר היו יורדים גשמים לפני ימי החג ונמשכו בחג, if it was raining before the holiday and then it continued on the holiday, אין כל מאומה בזה, no problem. There wasn't anything wrong here. Why? Because that was from before. Interesting that it rained here the first night, but then it stopped. But also, another thing to point out, but it stopped. We ended up eating in the sukkah. And
it rained here the first night?
It rained for a few minutes. But what was interesting, when it rained the first night here, I said, Siman Beracha. They said, why? I said, why is Siman Beracha? I said, first, because like RAMBAM said, it rains here all the time in Miami. So it's Siman Beracha. The whole week it was raining on and off. Second one, the Gemara tells us when it rains on Friday night, it's Siman Beracha. No? David. And by the way, it rained for a few minutes, Siman Beracha, then it stopped and we ate in the sukkah. Worked out great. Okay, אם כן, וכך כתב הגאון רב חיים פלאצ'י במועד כל חי, סימן כף אות כף. That's great. בשם החמדת ימים. How many, look how many ספרדים we brought here. עיין שם, וכך כתב בספר מטה אפרים, אלף המגן, בקונטרס אחרון, תף קכ"ט, אות י"ט, ועיין בשו"ת מתת ידו, סימן מ"ד, מה שכתב בזה עיין שם. So here, we gave a bunch of opinions, gorgeous opinions, that it could be סימן ברכה, and work out just fine. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen v'amen.